We want to see pictures, don't we want to see pictures? Just a quick note.
They took a little break, but we're getting back on again.
Sure, Susie?
Yep.
Somebody's not.
So, thank you. We're gonna reconvene here and, Ms. Ford, do you want to go ahead with your witness?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. Appreciate it. I'm going to call the superintendent of school, Melanie Blount Cole.
Yes.
Catherine, you want to swear her in?
Yes, Ms. Cole, good morning.
Good morning.
I misspoke, it's Ms. Blount Cole, and so let me correct the record. Do you mind holding right hand up and swearing? Tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Good morning, Melanie. I'm going to call
Morning.
you Melanie,
Yeah.
if you don't mind.
No.
Would you please, before you are the honorable members of the Board of Public Education and Ms. Smokers on the telephone, would you please explain to the board your current position as superintendent?
I'm in my 5th year as a superintendent of the Fraser Schools.
Okay.
I've been here previously in the capacity as a teacher, and I was a principal before too.
Very good. Were you familiar with Miss Sonia Smoker?
Yes.
All right. And were you aware that in August of 2020, the Fraser School Board voted to move her from a principal position into a teaching position?
Yes.
I'm going to refer you, do you have the documents in front of you? It is Fraser School District number 70. It's an August 11, 2020 letter from you to Ms. Smoker. Do you have that in front of you?
Yes.
All right.
Well, I recall the letter, so.
All right, very good. In that, it indicates that at a regular board meeting on August 11, the Fraser School Board voted to retract the principal contract and offer Ms. Smoker a contract as an elementary teacher. Did you deliver this letter personally to Ms. Smoker?
Yes.
All right. And what was her reaction to that letter?
Well, she wasn't very happy.
Okay, why not?
She didn't want to return to the classroom.
Okay. But that wasn't a decision you made, correct?
Oh, no, it was not.
All right. I'm going to refer you then to exhibit Fraser Public School District Exhibit 75, which is an individual teacher contract dated August 14 of 2020. Do you have that document in front of you?
Yes.
All right. And is that the teaching contract that was offered to Ms. Smoker on August 14 of 2020?
Yes.
Is the contract that was offered Ms. Smoker consistent with the contracts that the Fraser School District offers to all of its teaching staff?
Yes.
Okay. And in that contract, it specifically notes that if a teacher wishes to be released after August 16 and or during the school year, they will pay 10% of this contract as liquidated damages.
Yes.
By mutual agreement of parties, this section may be waived in individual drastic cases. Do you know by whom, on behalf of the Fraser School District, that section can be waived?
No, I do not.
Okay, is it, that wasn't a very artful question. Do you know if the board has to make that decision?
Yes, they do.
All right, do you know, have, in the last 5 years as superintendent, have other teachers left midterm?
Yes.
And has the board ever waived that provision for liquidated damages?
No, they have not.
All right. And did you make were you aware of Miss Smoker resigning on January 3rd of 2021?
Yes,
Okay, and I'm going to refer you to Fraser Public School District document 76. If you have that in front of you.
Yes.
Her email to you, it's dated Sunday at 7:17 p.m. Were you aware of at any time prior to, well, let me ask you this. January 3rd of 2021, where was Fraser School District at in terms of its school term?
we were ready to return in full capacity the day after.
Okay, on Monday, January 4.
Yes.
And when you say full capacity, explain to the board what you mean by that.
We were no longer offering the online learning, that we were going to go back to face-to-face instruction.
Okay,
The opt-out was no longer available to students.
had you had any indication or awareness before January 3rd of 2021 that Ms. Smoker intended to resign her teaching position?
Yes, I did.
Tell us about that.
Well, my second grade teacher called me down to her classroom and asked to speak with me, and I went down and spoke to her. This was on the last day before the Christmas vacation, and she said, and it was way at the end of the day, and she said, I need to speak with you about something that's really bothering me. So I sat down and we started this conversation, and she said, I wanted you to know that Miss Smoker has plans on resigning, but she wants to wait until the very last minute so that she can put you, the district, in an impossible situation.
Okay. And
She wants the district to suffer, is the words that were told to me.
in the resignation letter, Ms. Smoker says, as you know, I'm a diabetic. Were you aware of any challenges? Well, let me ask you this. Were you aware that she was a diabetic?
Yes, I was.
Okay. How long had she been diagnosed with diabetes, to your knowledge?
To my knowledge, it was for numerous years. It had been throughout the time she was principal, and even then some. So it had been a while.
In the fall term of 2020, were you aware of any particular challenges that her condition as a diabetic was presenting?
No,
Did she come to you at any time from August 14, 2020, when she signed her teaching contract, and January 3rd at 7:17 p.m. and tell you that she needed an accommodation for her
No, she didn't.
diabetes?
no, she did not.
All right. Would you have been willing to consider and grant an accommodation as necessary for her diabetes?
Yes, absolutely. If she would have asked, we would have granted her reasonable accommodations.
Okay. Do you have other staff employees that are diabetic at Fraser
Yes.
School District?
Yes, we do.
And do you make accommodations for them?
Whenever it is asked of us, we will make the reasonable accommodations.
Okay. She also indicates that she tore 4 ligaments in her knee in July. Were you aware of that?
I was aware of her knee injury in general. I did not see doctor reports on it, if that's what you're asking.
Okay, thank you. That was going to be my next question. Did she ever provide you any medical documentation from August 14, 2020 through January 3 of 2021 that related in any way to her knee injury or the tear of 4 ligaments?
No,
Did she ever request, well, let me ask you this. I understand she taught or used a walker at school.
yes.
Can you describe to the board what that walker was?
Well, it was a push one. You can hold both handles on each side and you can push it.
Is there
You
a
know how they
seat?
put the tennis balls so it goes along the floor?
Okay. Did it have rollers on it?
Oh, no.
No? Okay. Did it have a seat?
Yes, it had and another time I had noticed she had a seat one. It had like a leather where a knee could be rested on it. So
Okay. Did that ever present, to your knowledge, a challenge working in the classroom?
My understanding, it did not, because we had not heard about any,
Okay,
nor did we observe any.
All right. Did she ever come to you at any time between August 14, 2020 and January 3rd of 2021 and tell you that she needed an additional accommodation for her knee injury?
No,
All right. Did she ever, to your knowledge, speak up at staff meetings or any other group meetings where she said, I'm having a hard time teaching because of my knee?
no.
All right. When you got the resignation on January 3rd, what were some of the steps that you were forced to take to cover for that classroom?
Well, at that time, we didn't have any available subs, so we had to grab a paraprofessional and have the paraprofessional go into the classroom. But at that time too, we didn't have a lesson plan, so I had to call upon the dean of students, Miss Knowlton, to get something written, as she, is fully, fully aware of what a curriculum in first grade is like. So she wrote the lesson plans, and basically we had to really do some fast last minute shifting.
Okay. And did
And
that,
we just didn't have the available staff to be able to be doing that, but we had to do what we had to do.
okay. Why did you have to do what you had to do?
Because we didn't have a lot of applicants for any substitutes at that time. We didn't have a pool of paraprofessionals that we could pull. We were stretched very thin with staff.
Okay. When Miss Smoker resigned on January 3rd, was she also in a negative leave capacity?
Yes, she was.
And does the Fraser School District expect its teachers to repay a negative leave balance?
Yes,
Okay, and did you make request of Miss Smoker to repay those funds?
yes, we did.
I'm going to refer you to Fraser Public School District document 73, which is a January 11, 2021 note from you, which indicates I would like to recommend the following when accepting the resignation from Sonia Smoker. Request a payback of 10% in the amount of $57.31 and request a payback of sick leave exhaustion owed to the district in the amount of $2388.16. Do you recall that letter?
Yes, I do.
Okay. At any time from January through today's date, did Ms. Smoker ever reach out to you and offer to pay any of the sums that she owed the school district, either as a result of her negative sick leave or a result of her midterm contract departure?
No, she did not.
All right. Now, Shannon Knowlton has testified that there was some hostility between she and Miss Smoker as a result of Miss Smoker's move back to the classroom. Are you aware of that?
Yes, I am.
Tell the board what you were aware of.
And it began right off, right after she was returned back to the classroom, because Miss Knowlton notified me of her trying to reach out to her on social media, which is the Facebook Messenger, and she tried to call her, and she notified me of every instance. And she, I can understand someone not wanting to be harassed. She did not answer the calls, which is probably the best thing. But it continued on, and then until an incident occurred right in front of the office, up at the main office, and it was in front of several people where she was getting a little hostile, and I had to reprimand her for this, because that is unacceptable behavior. You just don't do that. You don't start coming up and start getting upset with office staff about a situation that did not happen. And we can't have that, because people were around and there was a lot of people observing the incident, and reprimand had to be put in place due to the incident of the hostility.
And is that reprimand documented in Fraser Public School District document 71?
Yes.
All right, and that's a November 12, 2020 memo to Ms. Smoker, in which you said this letter is to give a notice of reprimand for several reasons.
Yes.
Okay. You say it's been brought to your attention that she made serious accusations against a staff member who works in the front office. Was that Shannon?
Yes, it was.
Okay. You also said you are creating a hostile work environment that Fraser School District will not tolerate with comments and emails that you send to her also. When you say her, are you also referring to Shannon?
Yes.
All right. Did Shannon come to the school board at any time and also relate that she felt that she was being harassed by Ms. Smoker?
Yes, she did.
Okay. I'm gonna refer you to exhibit Fraser Public School District 77. You have that in front of you?
Yes.
And that's a letter from me to Miss Smoker dated January 14 of 2021, correct?
Yes.
And you received a copy of that?
Yes, I did.
Following that letter to Miss Smoker, did she contact you at any time after January 14 of 2021 and offer to make payments or any sort of recompense for the
No,
money that she owed?
No, she did not.
All right. And then document Fraser Public School 78. Do you have that in front of you?
Yes.
And what is that?
When we, all of the correspondence that I have had with you, it's always been that, we haven't had any cooperation, so.
Okay. And did you, on behalf of the Fraser Public Schools, request that the Board of Public Ed suspend Ms. Smoker's teaching certificate
Yes.
for non-compliance with her contract?
Yes.
All right. And again, she's made no effort with you or anybody on behalf of the Fraser School District to pay any of the monies that she owes the Fraser School District.
No, she has not made any contact.
Okay. What is can you give us just briefly what the K-8 teaching staff looks like?
Currently,
Yes.
most of our K-8 staff, I can tell you, is currently filled by Filipinos, with the exception of 2 teachers that come from one from out of state and one from Montana.
Okay.
So out of K-8, the rest are all Filipinos teaching staff.
Are those teachers from the Philippines been certified by the state of Montana to teach in the Fraser
Yes,
School District?
yes. Majority of them have the emergency certifications as we speak.
Okay. And what does the emergency certification mean?
So either they have not fulfilled, the praxis requirement, or they have not filled college credit requirements and such, but they are working on it. So they will do like a plan of intent, et cetera, to get that completed.
Okay.
But the emergency authorization, covers them for this current school year.
All right. With respect to the Wolf Point School District, what's the proximity of the Wolf Point School District to Fraser, Montana?
19 miles away
Okay.
to the east.
Are you generally familiar with vacancies that are at the Wolf Point School District?
Yes, I am, because I go to my monthly NEMAS meetings with other superintendents, and we share that information with each other.
All right. Were you aware in September of 2020 that there was a vacancy in a principal position at Southside Elementary in Wolf Point?
Yes, I was aware of it.
All right. Do you know what triggered that vacancy?
From my understanding, there was a teacher that contracted COVID, and he was from out of state and he did not return. So that is the reason for the vacancy.
Okay. Are you aware of whether Ms. Smoker applied for that position in the fall of 2020?
Yes, I was aware of it.
All right. Tell the board how you became aware of that.
I was obtained that information from our school board chair, our current chair.
Okay. And what did the school board chair tell you?
That her understanding is that she applied at this district, at the Wolf Point Southside School District.
Okay. Were you ever contacted by anyone at the Wolf Point School District for a
No, I was not.
recommendation? Okay.
No.
If you'll wait for me to finish. I know we're trying to expedite this. Do you know if she listed you as a reference for the Wolf Point School District?
No, she did not.
All right,
Wasn't aware of it.
all right. Did you ever talk to anyone at the Wolf Point School District about her interest or potential application for that position?
No, I did not.
All right, no one contacted you?
No one contacted me.
All right, very good. I think that's all the questions I have, Melanie. Thank you very much. Ms. Smoker now will get to cross-examine you.
Okay.
Go ahead, Ms. Smoker.
Okay, can you still hear me good?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so I just want to get some elaboration on, since it was brought up about my teaching, my principal contract. And it was on the agenda for the August 10th or whatever meeting. Why did the board move me into a teaching position?
The board,
If you
Yeah.
know, Melanie, you
yes.
can answer that question.
No, I do not know. So
So they just decided to do that and you don't recall or you don't know?
I don't recall.
Okay, you made a statement about me being when after I resigned. Do you recall what date I resigned?
January 3rd, 2021.
Okay. And then you made a statement stating the second grade teacher told you I was going to resign. Do you recall what date she gave you that notice?
Yes, it was on the Friday we got off for the Christmas break.
So after you got that information, did you come to me and ask if it was true?
No, because you weren't in the building.
The Friday of our Christmas break, I was
Yes.
in the building.
No, you were not in the building.
Well, I remember being there. So when she told you that, did you reach out to me by email or phone call or text asking me if this was true?
Madam Chair,
No.
it looks like we've lost Ms. Four. Looks like she may be coming back now. I just wanted to make sure that folks knew that.
Jean, are you still with us?
Hello?
Ms. Four, can you still hear us? Okay, it looks like we had briefly lost you. Can you still hear and see folks on the screen?
I can now. I lost you for about three to 4 minutes there. I don't know what happened.
Okay, and Ms. Ford, when you are not asking questions, could you mute, because we're getting a little bit of reverberation here, so I'm not sure where that's coming from.
Yes, of course. The only reason I unmuted is because I lost connection and missed the last 4 to 5 minutes. So I will mute again, but I don't know what's going on.
So I think the questioning has been around the second grade teacher providing information to Ms. Blount. Did you hear that part, Ms. Four? Okay, so can you re-ask your question, please, in a question form, Ms. Smoker of Ms. Blount regarding the second grade teacher?
I said that the second grade teacher gave Ms. Blunt some information about me resigning. I asked her what day that she was made aware of that.
And could you answer that question again so Ms. Four can hear your answer, Ms. Blount?
Yes, I was told on the day we went to Christmas break, at the end of the day.
You may now continue,
And-
Ms. Booker, with your question.
Okay, then I asked her, she said, I asked her if she came to me and she told me, no, she didn't because I was, no. What did you say?
You were not in the building.
So you got that towards the end of the day. Was I in the building at all that day?
You were in the building in the morning and it was an early dismissal that day, but you were gone by the end of the day, which is when she called the classroom.
Okay, then I asked right after that if you reached out to me by phone call, email, mail, whatever, about her statement, if it was true or what.
No, I did not.
Okay. So my next question is, you made a statement that you were aware of my diabetes.
Yes, I was.
What did you know, and what kind of information did I give you about me with my diabetics? What did you know?
All the time that I have been around you or had conversations with you, you have talked about it, and I've also witnessed you taking medication.
What kind of medication?
A shot.
Insulin shots?
Yes. Who
else, just for clarification, who else is privileged to my medical information as far as your administrative team?
No one is.
Okay. No one. So there was a statement about my knee injury that I told you, but I never gave you any information about it. Is that what you stated?
Yes.
So I never handed in any type of MRIs or anything with
No.
my sick leave
No.
papers? Okay.
No.
Have you discussed any of my medical with Angie Quilty?
No.
Are you, do you recall that you asked me about me turning in leave slips and that you had acquired some of my COVID leave or my COVID medical records through Angie Quilty?
I
That she
recall.
obtained those from the Health County Department, Valley County?
I recall asking you numerous times for your leave. Yes, that's what I recall. And I recall not receiving any of the leave for quite a while.
Was you made aware in an email sent by me asking for clarification on my leave when I was asking Shantae for those types of records?
Yes.
Do you recall any of those conversations or those emails?
Yes, I do.
What do you recall?
I recall her not having the correct information because we asked numerous times for you to submit the leave and that was not followed through. And I recall years before, if you want, we can, if you would like me to clarify that, I sure can about previous years too.
No, I'm asking about accumulated leave. What do you recall about that?
I recall you had no available leave.
Do you recall a statement made about no leave, no records?
I recall that because, again, we asked for leave slips to be turned in and they were not being turned in.
I'm not talking about my leave. I'm talking about the school leave, my accumulated leave, not the records that you were asking currently.
Well, I
Can you
recall.
clarify the accumulated
Yes.
leave that that you had told me about what happened to our records?
I'm
you
gonna
remember that?
object to the. Ms. Orr, I'm gonna object to the relevance of this. I don't understand what the sick leave has to do with her resignation, which she attributed to her diabetes and her, she doesn't say anything about leave being an issue. She hasn't filed a claim for sick leave with the district. I think it's, we're just going down a path that's irrelevant.
Yes, I would recommend to the board that we move on from this. So,
Yeah, we can move on. I'm not getting my answers clarified anyway, so. I have another question.
okay, and let me admonish council and Miss Smoker. We are going to try our darndest to finish this hearing today, so I would ask you to, well, both of you to analyze for yourself how you can streamline this, both in your questioning and in your witnesses. So go ahead, Ms. Smoker.
Okay, so I'm just trying to reach for, I understand time crunch, everything. I'm just trying to reach for some clarity because there's statements being made against me. So I would like, some elaboration on some things. As far as the hostility, I would like to ask some questions about that.
Okay, I think that is relevant. That would be my recommendation to the board.
Okay, so a statement was made that Shannon had stated she took some information to Melanie about me being hostile towards her through social media and all that, and she let her know. When did those occurrences take place?
Right after you were told you were going to be transferred to the classroom.
Okay, can you elaborate what type of harassment? Because I didn't get that information.
As I mentioned before, it was through messenger calls on Facebook Messenger. It was through calling her phone directly, text messages.
Oh, I know. She told us the what types. I'm asking what did
I said
what
that
types
too.
of statements.
Because I said
Okay.
that because she told me that after it was occurring and during, while it was going on, she was informing me of it.
So can we
What
remind
did she?
Ms.
Hold
Smoker?
on, parties, hold on a second.
Can we please be reminded, Ms. Smoker, that you are to ask questions? You'll have a chance to testify to these things later. We just specific questions for us, and you're clarifying for us, not for yourself. So if you could keep that in mind, so that we can move forward. Thank you.
Okay, well then, that's all I gotta ask then, I guess.
Okay. Ms. Ford, do you have any redirect?
I do not.
And then let's ask the board members if they have any questions of this witness. Melanie Blount-Cole.
I do, Madam Chair.
Board Chair Lacy.
Board Chair Lacy, thank you. A quick question for Ms. Blount-Cole regarding the payroll system, so I can understand the leave a little bit. Does your payroll system allow for teachers to receive pay when on leave, when there's no leave available? Is that we heard about negative, so is that what your payroll system does?
So without having any leave papers to act on, we have to, like our understanding is that the leave is there because there's no paperwork involved. So if we don't see a paper involved, that a record of document, what do we do? And like we have said, we've asked for it numerous times and it was never being submitted. And I can recall this is not an isolated incident. It was occurring years before too.
So it's up to the employee to notify the district.
It is their responsibility.
How do you know when when there's no one in the classroom teaching, I mean, then it's obvious that the teacher isn't there, but, so the deductions don't happen until the paperwork is turned in, is
We
that
need the
correct?
paperwork turned in.
Okay, thank you. And another follow-up question, do you support the agenda for the Board of Trustees?
Yes,
And so were you part of putting the agenda together in the August board meeting where the board voted to retract the principal's contract?
can you ask that again?
Were you privy to the board agenda items on the August board meeting where the board voted to retract the principal contract?
I was aware of the agenda.
So,
Is that what you're asking? I was aware of everything on that agenda.
okay, so, but you said that you didn't know, and back up, did you go to that board meeting? Were you present?
I have to run the meetings. Yes, I was there.
Okay, and you said that you didn't know why the board voted to
No,
retract.
I did not.
the contract. Oh,
There's something, yes.
Did you
yes.
know why the board voted to retract the principal's contract?
No, I did not.
So you do not know why the board voted? There was no discussion at the board as to a motion and board discussion when they retracted the contract?
I know of the motion, but I don't know of a discussion.
Was there discussion at the board meeting regarding the retraction of the principal contract?
A motion was made to do so. However, a discussion didn't occur. A motion was made, it passed, etc., but no discussions. The board can do as, you know, as they choose to do so. I draft up the agenda with the board chair. Yes,
Thank you. All right, thank you. Are there minutes available of the board?
yes, there are minutes available.
Thank you. That was all the questions. I had.
I'm gonna, this is Board Member Quinlan. I'd just like to follow up with that question, Superintendent Blount. Did you make a recommendation that the principalship, that Ms. Smoker be moved from being principal into the classroom teacher position?
No, I did not.
Thank you. Board Member Shottle, you had your hand up.
And I believe we're kind of all asking the same question here, but just for clarification, just so I understand, Superintendent Blount, was Ms. Smoker offered a principal contract for 2021 originally?
No,
She was not provided a offer of a contract that was then rescinded by the board?
no.
Yeah, so I'm sorry, I don't mean, I'm just trying to understand. She was at the end of the, well, in July of 2021 or June of 2021, the June of, yes. It was my understanding from testimony here that there was a principal contract offered to her, which she, for whatever reason, did not sign. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So she
there-
did not sign that contract.
Yes, she did not sign that contract. That is correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
So then at the August board meeting, the board voted or made a motion to
Yes.
offer her a teaching contract
Yes.
rather than, okay.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Ms. Shaw. That is correct information. That's it.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. So I have another kind of follow-up question here. As I look at, it's the document 78 that actually is sent to Director Flynn that asks for the suspension of the license.
Yes.
In your reading of this or your understanding of this, is the suspension being requested because she did not pay and meet the contract terms of the money that she owed to the district?
Yes.
So if she had paid the money in a timely fashion as requested and had paid in full by February 12th, this would not have been written to request a suspension of her license. Do I understand that correctly?
Yes, that is correct.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Other board members? Board Member Headland?
Madam Chair, thank you. I would like to ask, was there medical documentation requested? Because when someone takes leave, you know, and we're aware it's very obvious if they're on crutches or something like that, traditionally, that's not always requested. Did you request documentation of surgery or COVID or any of that from her as her?
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you. And then another thing I wanted to mention was Ms. Knowlton let us know that she was aware of the reprimand that you provided. Was this because she was CC'd on that, or how did she know of the reprimand that you provided?
You know, everything, at that time, she was considered an administration, as part of the administration, and we signed confidentiality forms. She was notified of the reprimand because I was going to take it to the school board also. And with confidentiality forms in our building, that information isn't shared around, like in, for instance, into the public. It's shared within an administrative team. And Miss Knowlton was the dean of students at that time.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Other board members?
Go ahead. Go ahead. No, go ahead. Thank you. This is Board Member Lacey again. I'm sorry, I just have to clarify again, going off of what Board Member Schottel said. Superintendent Blount-Cole. So you're saying that at the board meeting, there wasn't a vote about retracting her contract. It was a vote to hire her as a first grade teacher. Is that when you confirmed to
Yes.
Dr. Schottel?
Yes.
Well, then I'm confused about the letter, which is your exhibit 70. That is dated August 11, 2020. That is, there's no signature on this letter, but it says that it was written by you. That says the Fraser School Board voted to retract your principal contract and offer a teaching contract as an elementary teacher.
As Miss,
I'm confused. You're saying they didn't retract, they offered, but you wrote here that they did.
as Miss Schottel and I both stated before, she did not sign the principal contract on it in a timely manner. That was the previous school, you know, so back when it was offered way back then. And so basically there was really nothing there.
They were tracking the offer.
Now I understand. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I wanted to follow up on that same question, if I could, Superintendent Blount-Cole. I understood from the earlier testimony that the contract was issued, but it was not signed
Mind.
because Ms. Smoker was home ill with COVID. And it was not sent to her home, but rather it was put in the mailbox in the school. And then she was not notified
She was
until
notified.
the last day that it was to be signed by 5 o'clock. Is that correct? Or
She
please,
was notified.
how was she notified, please?
She was notified through text messages, phone calls, etc. She was notified.
But she was sick with COVID, correct?
She was not at that my recollection. I don't remember her being sick with COVID at that time.
Well,
Time.
we will have to ask her when she got the diagnosis, please. I believe she was ill and the family was ill. Thank you.
Board Member Heller, next.
Okay, sorry. Quick question, thank you, Chair. How many, so you've been at the Fraser School District superintendent for how long?
5 years.
5 years as superintendent, but before that, you were a teacher and a principal. So how many total years?
22
Oh,
I've been in education 23. I was in Wolf Point School for 1 year, so 22 total here in Fraser.
Fraser School District.
22.
Gotcha, okay. If I did my math correctly, Ms. Smoker's been there 18, a total of 18. She taught for 15 and then she was principal for 3.
Yes,
Is that, okay. So clearly you guys have worked together for a long time.
yes.
Okay. So in the years prior to all of these issues that we've got today, did she did her job well? She, as a teacher and a principal?
Well, we had, there were some improvement plans in place
Okay. For,
for principal. Yes.
okay,
And I didn't do any evaluations when she was a teacher, so I don't know anything. I can't tell you anything about that.
all right.
But as a principal, she was on some improvement plans.
Some improvement plans. Okay, that was, thank you. That was actually going to be my next question. So she had some evaluations as principal that you
Yes.
saw as superintendent, and then you made improvement plans for her?
Yes, yes, I did.
Okay, and did she work on those improvement plans and, try to take the advice and do better?
No, she did not.
And you have all of this documented?
I sure do. I have evaluations.
Okay, and was it brought to the attention of the school board?
Yes.
Okay. That is all I have. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Board Member Hedelman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just am still confused, and it's on the same line of questioning that Chair Lacy had about the board meeting that occurred. So it must have been on the agenda, the principal position and the teaching position must have been under personnel on the agenda if there was action taken. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Further questions from board members? Okay, I think we're ready to go to the next step.
Okay, Ms. Ford, this is Catherine Orr speaking. Do you have any more witnesses?
I have a follow-up question for this witness, Ms. Orr, if I might.
Okay, yes, go ahead.
Thank you. Melanie, was the agenda for the August 11th school board meeting publicly noticed?
Yes.
How is that? Is that posted on your
It's
website?
Yes, it's posted in the front door of the school here. It's posted at the post office and it's posted at the Fraser store.
Okay.
3 different locations.
And do you recall when Miss Smoker was diagnosed or told that she was subject to quarantine for COVID in August of 2020?
It was at the beginning of August.
Okay, and do you know if she got notice of the, well, let me ask you this, the principal contract that was offered to her, when was that sent to her?
It was directly after the board meeting.
No, the contract, that the teaching contract, as I understand it, was sent to her on August 11th.
That teaching contract? Okay, the principal one was the previous year in May, so it'd been the school year in May.
Okay. Do you know why she hadn't timely signed the principal contract?
No, I don't.
Okay, so she was offered a contract and it was not signed. And then
Yes.
the board elected in August on a noticed meeting. Did the agenda include the principal contract as an agenda item?
In the May meeting?
In the August meeting?
Not in the August meeting. The August meeting had it on the agenda to speak about principal and her contract. She wanted to get a raise at that time.
Okay.
But again, then she wanted to address what, about her contract at that time too.
All right.
She wanted to be on the agenda for that.
Do you know, how do you know she wanted to be on the agenda in the August meeting?
She notified me.
Okay, and when did she notify you?
Before she was sick.
Okay, And then did she notify you or anyone else, to your knowledge, on August 11 that she could not be at that school board meeting?
You know, whether it would be online, no, she had the possibility and the capability, availability to do on online if she wasn't going to be there.
Oh, and
Not
that was gonna
notified.
be my question. If you just
Yeah.
slow down just a little bit and don't talk over the board members or me, just wait for the question. So in August of 2020, was the board conducting its meetings by Zoom or other virtual means?
Yes,
Okay, so even though she was quarantined or had COVID, she certainly could have participated in that August meeting.
yes.
Do you know if she did do you remember if she did participate in that August meeting?
No,
She did not, or do you not know?
she did not.
Okay, thank you. That's all the questions I have of this witness.
And I think there might be a follow-up question by Ms. Smoker. Is there?
Did you notify me of these meetings, so-called being in Zoom?
No. Because we
Was I
talked,
made aware?
yes,
was,
you were made aware of the meeting.
I was made, yeah, but as far as being capable of doing that, how did you send me that information?
You and I had a conversation in my office, and I spoke to you about the meeting, and I told you that I was going to talk to the board about your performance. And you knew the date of the meeting. You were fully aware that a phone call could have been made, or you could have Zoomed in. That, because we were hosting a lot of our meetings on Zoom at that time.
Was you made aware that I had COVID and I was sick?
Verbally, you made me aware of it.
And that, did I say I could be at the meeting?
No, you did not say.
Did I say I was under quarantine?
You just said that when you called me, I was at a doctor appointment myself in Miles City, and you called and said that you were positive.
And that I was under quarantine, or no?
You said that you were waiting for further doctor orders at that time.
Oh, did I send you those doctor statements and stuff?
No, you did not.
How did you obtain my medical records then?
I had to ask for them because you were not giving them to me. You wouldn't.
Yeah, how
cooperate
did
and
you
give them to
get
me.
that?
I
How
asked
did you
for
get my
them
medical
to the county health nurse.
from the Valley County Health Nurse? Send you an email of my medical records.
At that time, I asked, but I still didn't get anything because no one was talking to me. I couldn't get anything from you. I would have preferred to get them from you, but you weren't responding.
So you went out of your scope and received them from a medical personnel?
Yes, because you weren't returning to work and I didn't know what to do.
Okay. So after you obtained those, do you recall an email you sent to me stating how you obtained them and why you obtained them, medical records, without my
Yes, I
permission?
do. Yes, I do. And I'll say it again to be reminding you that you would not communicate with me about the time length and why you weren't returning to work.
Madam Chair, can I?
Okay.
Please? I just want to state that the county health department notifies the school superintendents of positive cases, whether it's a student or staff member. That is acceptable and practice in many counties.
Thank you. That is true.
Ms. Smoker,
Yes.
do you have any other questions?
No.
Okay, we will continue forward. Ms. Ford, do you have any other witnesses?
I do not, thank you.
Thank you.
Can we take a small break? We have just kind of a point of information here. We have meetings all the way till 3 o'clock today with the time certain at 1:30. Our lunch is just delivered outside in the hall. So perhaps now that Ms. Four has, I'm assuming, kind of rested, that we can get our lunch and then we'll eat while we're working for the next portion of it. We just need to get our lunch quickly. And what would that next portion be? That would be that Ms. Smoker is calling witnesses. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Do you have witnesses to call, Ms. Smoker?
Yes, I do.
Can you please take this time to make arrangements for them to get on your phone so that we can make that happen as quickly as possible?
What do you mean get on my phone?
I don't think there's another way for, I suppose they could each call in one at a time to the number.
Yeah, that would probably work. I was just told to get my phone numbers of my witnesses ready. But I can, while you guys are eating, I can try to, I will contact them to make sure that they're available.
Yes, why don't you do that quickly? We're not going to eat, we're just getting our meal and then we're going to come back and begin. So we'll be ready for your first witness.
Alrighty, so I need to hang up and then call back.
Okay, let's hold on 1 minute. We have to give them that same number and the ID. Is that correct? That's the only way to do it if they're not.
She has that information.
Okay, so do you have the information that you have to call back? Ms. Smoker?
Yes, I got that from,
So you'll need
yes,
to,
I have that information.
so you'll need to give that information to your witnesses one at a time so that they can call in.
Okay, I'm gonna do that right now then.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so we are at a brief recess back and
Chris, are you guys trying to speak? You're muted. Okay, just checking.
Just have everybody say how they didn't know
What they're thinking. Thank you.
So is it possible to have a compromise where she keeps her license?
Well, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that. I just wanted to know that we're going to, before we decide on anything, we will each have an opportunity to.
Well, yeah, but if it's illegal, I'd like to know now.
Right,
Now, waste my time.
And she's not on yet. There's no, oh, there are 2 phone numbers. So we are ready to go. If you read, you got a copy of this law, 1057,
Yeah, I read that.
611. Okay. If you read 3B, it basically tells us what our options.
Hello? Hello, did I?
Ms. Smoker, we're just about to get started, so just hold tight, please.
Right, we have to.
Okay.
Sorry.
I did.
Oh, we are. Should have like a.
Okay,
Yeah.
we'll, thank you all for that break, and we'll go ahead. Catherine, is there anything you need to say before Ms. Smoker begins?
I don't think so. Ms. Smoker, are you on?
I am on. I was wanting to check to see if my, one of my witnesses was on.
Okay. Let me ask you, you have told me you have 4 witnesses. Are any of these witnesses what I would call character witnesses?
Yeah.
And I don't think we have time really to bring out evidence or testimony about your character. What we do have to do is address the allegations of your non-performance. As you've heard already, you see where the school district is going with this.
Yeah.
And if you have witnesses who can address those allegations, that's what the board is interested in. So who would that be?
What do you mean? Can you clarify that? Like, as far as,
Well, the school district has addressed your breach of your contract. And
okay,
has addressed some disciplinary matters. And if you have witnesses that can speak to those issues, and you're also raising, as I can tell, matters concerning your health. And I think you yourself can testify about that. So which witnesses do you have who can, other than you, who can talk about the issues of non-performance?
probably none of them. Not as far as my non-performance or whatever my accusations against me. I have 2 colleagues, you know, and they weren't my supervisors or anything, and they're more character witnesses of what I've done at that school, how I contributed there with the students and the parents, community, you know, and the staff.
Okay.
I was just going to bring them up, you know, to help me, you know, because there's a lot of accusations and statements that are false that are being made about me. So I was just going to clarify that. But if you don't need to hear that testimony, I'm sure my witnesses won't mind. They all have to go to work and carry on their day.
Now, if you don't have any witnesses that might give a different picture regarding what happened, then I think it, and I'm maybe speaking out of turn, but I think that the board members are most interested in your testimony. And you gave an opening statement, and you have some matters to bring up regarding your health. And I would assume notice of your health problems to the school district, and notice of your termination decision and that sort of thing. So I would think that you could testify on your own behalf, and then Ms. Orr would cross-examine you, and then the board would ask you questions about it.
Okay,
We
yeah, we could just move on then.
We understand I think I can speak to the board again. We understand your background, it's extensive, and how dedicated you have been to this school and the community.
Okay.
So with that, it's, you are going to testify, and you put in various exhibits. Is Ms. Orr on the line?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
So it's the 337, I think, is the one that we need to.
And this is a little unusual, but are there any points that the board is particularly interested in to hear from Ms. Smoker? Maybe you want to go around it.
Why don't we let her?
Okay.
Yeah, my biggest question is, why did you wait so long to send your letter of resignation?
Okay, and we'll just kind of hold that, and Ms. Smoker will address that, if that's all right. Okay.
Are there other people want to know things too? Could you kind of give her some
It's a
direction?
good idea, I think, in this situation.
This is Board Member Heller. Along with that, I would like to know what was the holdup? Why did it take so long to sign the offer for the principal contract?
You want me to answer that right now?
No, let's get a grouping of questions, and then you can answer, you can go into your testimony. Anyone else?
Okay.
I do. I would just like to know, you had obviously served in part of the school year in your capacity as a first grade teacher, with some ongoing issues. What was the defining moment, or what happened in December or towards the end of December that put you in a position that you felt you had to resign your position?
And Board Member Hammond, you had a question?
Yes, I wondered if you could speak to COVID a little bit and the extent to which it affected you and your 3 children. What were the circumstances that you were trying to cope with at the same time as this other matter? Thank you.
Okay, I think you have a good idea, Ms. Smoker, about what the board is interested in hearing. So why don't you go ahead with that, and then the other thing is, we don't have your exhibits in evidence, and it would be very useful if you could just speak about what you were trying to get in through your exhibits, because Ms. Orr has objected to all of those. And if you can
Oh,
speak,
she did.
yes, if you can speak to what's in the content of those exhibits rather than us going through each one of them, that would
Okay.
also be expeditious. Thank you.
I think we need to swear her in as a witness. Is
Yes.
that correct?
Can I ask a question? I was trying to write these down as we were just discussing them. The first one was why I waited so long to resign.
Yep.
And then why it took me so long to sign my contract.
or not, is the case.
My principal contract?
Yes. Why it took you so long to
Okay.
not address that, I guess. And then,
And then what happened in December to make me resign from my teaching contract?
yes. And
then speak about COVID.
yes. And there have been
Okay.
about you're talking to the second grade teacher, and then that being transmitted to the superintendent, so with all of that, do you have your right hand placed
Yes.
in a swearing position? Do you,
Yep.
you
Yep.
swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay, you may proceed.
Okay. I'm going to try to get through this quick because I'm hungry. The reason why I didn't get a chance to sign my principal contract was I was home. I was not feeling well. I had hurt my leg on July 17th, my knee, and could not walk. However, I struggled to go in to the school to finish out the summer school. And I was also working on closing the regular school year down with reports and things that needed to be done. So I struggled for 4 days, Monday through Thursday. Thursday was our last day of summer school. And then I was going to get 1 week off because I worked a whole year plus the summer. I was going to get 1 week off just to recuperate, rest up. That was my vacation because the following week I was going to start my principal contract. I walked in with a walker. I walked out with a walker. I could not move from my desk at that time before that. So I was home resting and I was not made aware of my contract. Even though I asked the superintendent, I asked the clerk, which is Dean Blunt, is her father. I asked him for my contract and I asked the board chair when my contract was going to be brought to me as I was hired in May. And as I stated in my opening statement, they all got a chance to get raises and I wasn't unable to get a raise, so I had to take it upon myself and request to be on the board agenda just to ask them. And that was the only thing that was supposed to be brought up was my raise. And I didn't get my contract to me. No one brought it to me. I was unaware that it was even done, if it was written, and and I didn't even know it was there at the school until I received a text message from her. I did not receive no phone call or nothing else, no email, nothing. I received a text message at 2:22 p.m. stating my contract was at the school. There was no discussion of any deadline of when it needed to be signed or anything. So when I went to work the following Monday, I saw it in my box, my mailbox at the school. I saw it there in a folder. I took it, I signed it, kind of went through it, signed it. I'm like, okay, so it's signed, and handed it back in. And I didn't even notice the date that there was a deadline of July 31st on it. So I received it July 31st. I signed it on August 3rd when I went to work. So that's why I didn't sign it, is because I didn't know I had one to sign. The reason why it took me so long to resign. Well, let me back up. I want to discuss or I want to comment on the second grade teacher. Her name is Janice Sable. She's been at the district for a while now teaching. She's a friend of mine. She's a great colleague. She's a great teacher. I just don't see her without having to talk to her. I don't see her calling or going to the superintendent. She did not have that type of relationship with them, and expressed over the years of her not feeling comfortable within that district. But I don't want to bring anything up that's gonna hurt her, as she's still a teacher there. That's why I didn't call on her. That's why I didn't call on her or name her as a witness. I did have a conversation with her, however, about me possibly thinking about resigning. And some things that have not been brought up because I didn't think they were relevant was the fact that the deans of students were disciplining my children. And I had a lot of issues. One of the reprimands that the superintendent talked about, I went in there as a parent on my lunch break. And then again, after school hours, when my teaching contract was finished, to go and discuss with them about some bullying things that was happening to me, to my daughter, and that had to involve Shannon Knowlton's daughter as well. And there was a lot of conversation there. I went in there as a parent. I was upset. My baby was crying. And then my teenager was getting yelled at over a phone, things like that was happening. And I ended up pulling my daughters out of that education system and ended up sending them to a different district. But I don't see I don't see how the second grade teacher would run to her or ask her about or tell her about anything without speaking with her. The only thing I can assume is because of our relationship, me and Miss Sable, the second grade teacher, but she probably didn't want to see me resign. So she was probably giving Melanie a heads up about it or something in that nature, not to be any demeaning or a negative, towards me. Why I waited so long to resign is because I was really contemplating, do I stay? Do I stay somewhere where I'm not wanted? Do I put myself through the pain and agony of my injury? And I committed so much to that school, and I just felt so bad. And I could not submit myself or my children through any more pain and discomfort or being uncomfortable going to a building where I gave everything throughout the years. And I don't know why they're doing this to me, but I just, with the injury and then my diabetes being out of control, I felt like I had where else to turn. I never applied in any other district. I didn't go after or seek any other jobs. I just wanted to stay home and rest my knee and wait for an upcoming much needed knee surgery. So nothing in particular really happened to make me resign other than some issues that was concerning my daughters and their discipline over my daughters. And my daughters cried and didn't want to go to school. My 10-year-old, at that time she was 9-year-old, did not want to go there. The dean of students, Shannon Knowlton's daughter, was bullying my daughter. A lot of things weren't being addressed. I brought things to their attention, but then I was being reprimanded left and right for asking questions and being hostile and all these other accusations. I would have loved to stay there and continue to be a teacher there, but it was just hard. One of the witnesses I was going to call was going to be Delane Blunt. She was a para. She worked under me as a principal. She worked with me when I was in the classroom. She had came to me and told me that, because I was being, I had emails sent to me that I wasn't picking up my kids on time. And Shannon Knowlton was making the superintendent aware that I wasn't there on time, which it was a long stretch from my classroom all the way down the hallway, down another hallway, to a corner, to another hallway to go pick up the kids from recess. So, you know, I didn't want the administration coming down on me for things like that. So I would leave my classroom early to go down there to go get my students. And when I had re-injured my knee, because it would just buckle on me, I was doing dishes one evening and it buckled on me. I had to take 2-3 days off of work just to get it stabilized. And I was wearing a knee brace. I guess that's something I should have stated. I wore a knee brace too, you know, and well, the para who worked in the special ed had a room right next door to me where she worked with other students, and one of them was one of my students as well. So she was already assigned to recess duty, and I would have her go bring my kids in for me when my knee was hurting or whatever, because she was already out there and she would bring them in anyway. She was walking by my classroom. She was getting reprimanded and she was being told that she couldn't go pick up my students and bring them in for me. I had a bulletin board, 2 bulletin boards in my classroom. I had a door that we decorated, and our door that needed to be decorated, and other things in that nature, like a teacher always does, you know, to make her classroom looking fun and inviting. I had to have my daughter help me hang things and make my classroom look good. There was I didn't reach out to the administration and ask for help. At that time, I didn't think I would even get that help, so I did not ask for it. But I did go and ask other people to help me, and they were being told they could not help me. And she was going to testify to that nature. As far as, and the other one was Connie Lambert and Tiana Smoker. There are teachers and colleagues of mine I worked with, and I supervised them as well when they were teachers. And they were my colleagues after I was put back in the classroom. And I had really good relationships with all of the teachers and staff members, my witnesses, and they were going to testify to the pain that they saw me in, the agonizing pain and the chronic pain I was in. I would visit with them and talk to them about, you know, what I was going through, and they could verify some things, some statements or conversations we had. But since I'm not calling them, I'll just elaborate on a little bit or just, you know, talk about that. But they no longer work for the district anymore. I mean, neither has the para, Delane. There's been a lot of turnover there, but I had some things. I went to my doctor, and I had her write me a statement, which I wanted to present, but I can't now. It just has it's a letter just confirming my health issues. She's been my primary care provider.
I'm going to object to this testimony. The proffer of the medical evidence is dated well after January of 2021. And this witness has already admitted she did not offer any medical documentation to the district. So
let me say something on that fact. I don't know why. I've never realized it until you objected to it. But yeah, I see it is dated for August 26th. That's not accurate.
I don't know what is accurate, but it is evidence in 2021 that comes well after January 3rd of 2021. And it was not evidence or documentation that was offered or available to the school district at any time between August 2020 and January 3rd of 2021.
No, I got this information after I found out the school was going after my license with the Department of Education. I went to my doctor and I let her know what was happening, and she wrote me this statement.
I understand, and that's my objection. It's after acquired documentation, and that's my objection.
And I guess if it's okay with the board, I can weigh in on this.
Please.
These communications from Ms. Smoker's doctors are dated in 2021, but they do discuss her condition throughout the year. They go back in time concerning the time that's relevant here, which is when she was suffering a knee injury and when she was suffering from COVID. So I guess I recommend that we haven't gotten these exhibits in yet, and if it comes to a critical issue that Ms. Smoker insists on putting them in, we can talk about the evidentiary admissibility aspect of it. But these letters cover a span of time that are important for Ms. Smoker to be able to talk about.
Well, I don't disagree, but the point is none of this information was ever offered to the school district. So it is still after acquired evidence that may well, and neither of these healthcare providers have been offered for examination. And it is grossly prejudicial to the district for her now to offer medical evidence that you're indicating goes back in time that was never made available to the school district.
Well, and Ms. Ford, and if it's okay with the board and Ms. Smoker, what I would say is the board knows that. The board knows that, at least so far, that Ms. Smoker did not bring these matters to the attention of the school. But I think she's now bringing this issue of her pain and her medical condition during that span of time to the board. And the board can factor that in as being important or not.
I don't know if this is relevant or not, but we did receive a summary of this information from Ms. Smoker in a letter dated May 4th, 2021 that was written to the Board of Public Ed. So we have a summary of that information, and I believe we have a good understanding, certainly from Ms. Smoker's perspective, of her pain and what she was dealing with health-wise, and recognize that. So I don't think more time spent on it, in my mind, helps me makes that any firmer in my mind. We have that information that she's already provided to us.
Okay. Ms. Smoker, do you want to continue with your testimony?
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you taking that letter and my medical stuff in consideration. I just was going to elaborate on after I found out I was going to have to do a hearing and this whole process. Then I seeked out my doctor and a second MRI, which, you know, is besides the point. The other things I wanted to talk about, that as far as my non-performance, I did my job as best as my ability and my injury would allow me to do. You know, I had a group of first grade students that I took care of every day and educated them. When we were on closed down for a couple weeks here and there, you know, I did Zoom meetings, and being a teacher nowadays is not just a teacher that was a couple years ago. The duties, the performance, it's way out of what is expected now of teachers. There's no comparison. it's like you're teaching like three different classrooms, you know, and doing 3 times the workload. And that has to be kind of factored in too. Where my classroom's located, it was way down the hall from the teacher's lounge where the copy machines were, where I had to make packets for my opted out students. And those had to be handed in weekly, you know. Then we had to do all these different lesson plans and things, you know, to prepare for that. We did Google Meets with students online. You know, the workload was a lot. And, you know, I couldn't do it. And then having the students in the classroom and performing all those duties, it was a lot. And I'll admit, you know, it was pressure, it was stress, and then, you know, on top of everything else, it was a lot of work.
Ms. Smoker, I guess I would ask, given the points that the board asked you to address, the various pieces, are there any pieces of those you haven't yet addressed, or anything that you want to add to what you've already said?
Oh, yeah.
And I would be glad to itemize those.
So, we were, we got COVID, my family, and it was like, I think we were like the second family in Fraser, because that's where I reside, that got COVID. And it was so new and it was so scary. And I had just broken up with my husband, who was my rock, and he had left us, and the schools were shut down and everybody had to stay home, you know, and it was scary. And I didn't know, being a diabetic, and how my body was going to react to it. I didn't know if I was going to have to leave my children, but luckily we got through it, and we lost our taste and smell. We all had like congestion and colds, and those were our symptoms. These massive headaches where you can't even like think and listen to people. My mom was calling me, checking on me and checking on my kids, and they were going shopping for us. We was having to go outside and bring up our groceries, because I live in a 2-story, which was also very hard. Having my knee injury, my daughter would run up and down and get our food that people were dropping off for us, and our groceries and things like that. But I had to be under quarantine for so long. And then since my girls were around me, they of course got COVID as well. So we had additional days being under quarantine. And that's why we didn't start school on August 12th, when I was supposed to be there for PR days. And the following week, school was going to start. That was the reason why we weren't there, was because of COVID. But I'm just happy and thankful that we didn't have some major problems like the rest. But I think, you know, COVID and my diabetes has to factor in of my healing process as well. You know, I just don't heal, and having a knee injury like that and the chronic pain, it was just unbearable. And my children were scared. My children's been quite through a lot, and you know, we're no longer there. We're at a different district, and everything's a lot brighter for my girls.
Thank you, Ms. Smoker. I think you've given a good sense to the board of the issues and the concerns you were facing with COVID. Catherine, you said you could itemize those and just.
Yes, If that would be helpful, she may have forgotten all of the questions, so.
I think we're good.
That'd be good.
I think she got one.
Okay. So, Ms. Smoker, the first question was, why did it take you so long to resign?
So
No, we
I
did
think
a
we
roll.
feel that she's
Oh,
covered.
I'm sorry. Okay.
Now Jean can probably.
Yeah, Jean, do you have cross-examination?
Yes, I do. Ms. Smoker, good afternoon. You had a contract for the principal position for 2019 to 2020, or 2020, sorry, correct?
Can you say that again? I was blowing my nose.
All right, let me know when you're done so you can hear me.
Okay, I'm good.
All right, you had a contract for the school term 2019 to May of 2020, correct?
Correct?
And that contract was a one-year term
Yeah.
and it expired at the end of the term of 2020, correct?
Correct.
And you had no contract that was offered to you in May of 2020, correct?
No.
You did have a contract that was offered to you in May of 2020?
Yes, I did.
Yes, you did. And that was for the fall term of 2020 to 2021, correct?
Correct.
Right. And you got that contract in May.
I was offered a contract in May. I never received a physical paper or form of a contract. I didn't see it until of July of 31.
Well,
Or apparently,
okay,
well, no, I
okay.
didn't, let me back that up. It was,
yeah, if
it
you'll
was
just answer the
notified.
question, the question is, your contract expired in May of 2020, correct?
My principal contract?
Yes.
No, it didn't expire then. It expired in June.
All right, June or May of 2020, either one. You, in June of 2020, you had no offer of employment at the Fraser School District, correct?
No, that's not correct.
You had no writing from the Fraser School District in June of 2020, correct?
I had it in the board minutes of them offering me a principal contract for the 2021 school year. Yes, I had that.
All right, good. So now you're admitting that you knew in June of 2020 about a principal contract, correct?
Yeah.
All right, and you wanted additional compensation, correct?
Yes.
And the board didn't agree to pay you additional compensation.
That my contract was never brought before them prior to that.
You had a conversation with the board about additional compensation, correct?
No, I never have.
Okay, fair enough. We'll move on. You admit that with respect to your knee and your diabetes in the fall of 2020, you didn't reach out and ask anybody in the administration for help, correct?
Yep, correct.
Ms. Ford, before you go any further, I think that we're getting some background from maybe some notifications on your computer.
Yeah, I am sorry. I don't know why they're all coming. I'm trying to get rid of them and I don't know why they're all coming in right now. Bear with me.
I can just see that the board was kind of trying to figure out where that was coming from. So I
apologize.
Thank you.
I don't know how to turn them off, but I apologize. It's irritating me too. All of the email
Yeah,
that keep it on my
kind
desk.
of hard to hear you with those
Yeah,
coming in.
I'm trying to deal with the issue. I apologize.
Do you have a silence button on?
I don't think so. I don't know why they're all coming in right now, but let's see, hopefully we're done. I don't have a lot more, so let me work through this quickly. So you didn't reach out to help with respect to any and or ask for any additional accommodations with respect to your knee or your diabetes in the fall of 2020. Is that correct?
I made him aware and I made him aware.
You didn't reach out for and ask for any help is what I've written down from your testimony earlier. Are you changing your testimony?
No, I did not ask for help per se
Okay.
by that. Yeah.
And you indicated that you didn't want to stay at a place where you didn't think you were wanted, correct?
Correct. I did say that.
And that your daughter was somehow bullied?
Yes, she was.
Okay. There's a uniform complaint procedure, is there not, within the Fraser School District?
Yeah, there is.
And did you ever bring that complaint to the school board's attention?
No, I did not.
And you were in August of 2020 offered a teaching contract and therefore subject to the collective bargaining agreement, correct?
Correct.
And you had union representation at that time?
Yeah.
And you never filed a grievance through your union representation at any time in the fall of 2020 through the time of your resignation on January 3rd, 2021 regarding any of the alleged situations that you faced from the either the dean of students or anyone else within the administration?
I let Maggie Copeland know on several occasions of what was going on throughout the
Did you
school
file
year.
a grievance? Did you file a grievance?
No,
Okay, so there's no complaint to the board about your daughters or anything happening to your children. You file no complaints or grievances with the union with respect to your teaching position. You don't reach out to the district and ask for any help with respect to your knee or your diabetic condition. Do you admit that you spoke with your friend, the second grade teacher, about resigning right at the time that Christmas break was beginning?
yes, I did have a conversation with her about me resigning.
Okay, and did you tell her that it was your intention to not give the district notice because you were angry about not being in the position of principal?
No, I was angry about how my children were being treated within the school district and the administration,
Okay.
and me being reprimanded for bringing that attention to them.
Okay, and so as part of your anger, you weren't inclined to give the district any notice of the fact that you were going to resign?
No, that was not my intention.
But in fact, you sent an email to the superintendent at 7:17 on January 3rd, notifying her of your resignation, correct?
Yes, I did.
And that was the night before school was supposed to start for the January 2021 school term, correct?
Correct.
Okay. That's all I have of this witness. Oh, I'm sorry, I have one more question. You said your workload was a lot. Isn't that also true of everybody at the Fraser School District?
Yes, of course.
Okay, so, I mean, teachers work hard. They have
Not
a
everyone
lot of
had
work.
not everyone had a knee injury either.
Right, and you didn't ask for any help for your knee injury, so you don't know whether the district would have been in a position to
Well, I
offer
didn't think I was
help.
going to get any help. I didn't think I was going to get any help. That's why I didn't ask for help. Okay.
Well, I understand you didn't think, but you didn't ask,
Or
correct?
Excuse me?
You didn't ask.
I didn't ask.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Is Catherine, it's time for the board to ask questions?
I think so. Unless Ms. Smoker has something that she wants to say that is a follow-up to this cross-examination. But that's in the interest of time, I think. Well, Ms. Smoker, do you have anything to follow up with?
No, I don't.
Okay.
So, again, in the interest of time, I think, I'd like us to consider not doing closing statements. We need some time for the board to have a conversation, and I guess I would give board members, if there's any factual information that you believe you still need to get resolved, including, bring them up now. Otherwise, we'll go into our deliberation. Board member Headland.
Madam Chair, one question for Ms. Smoker. Did you offer to put in 2 weeks when you provided your notice of resignation?
Can you say that again?
Did you offer
Did I
to
what?
did you offer to put in, 2 weeks of work when you provided your resignation?
No, I did not. I said I wanted it effective immediately.
Thank you for clarifying.
Board member Heller.
Thank you. I just really quick. You were notified in June of 2020 that you verbally that you had, there would be a principal contract for the 2020-2021 school year. Verbally, you were notified, right?
Of June of 2020?
Yes, I believe that's what you told Ms. Farr for.
Yes, I knew of my contract. I was hired in May at the school board meeting of 2020.
Okay, so the school board offered you for the following school year, they offered you a principal contract in May of 2020.
Yes,
Okay, and then you, in response, you were gonna seek a raise,
right?
and that was in the June school board meeting or July school? I guess I'm still confused on this. When did you get,
July.
that was supposed to be in the July school board meeting for you to get offered a raise?
They were supposed to put it on the agenda, but it was always neglected to be put on there. So finally, at the July school board meeting, I brought it up to the board chair. And so he gave a directive to the superintendent to put it on for the next August meeting, regular school board meeting, which was August 10th.
Okay, and you got the written contract for that school year for 2020, 2021. You got the written one, you said, I believe, July 31st, or like right at the end of July is when you got that?
Yes, and I was notified by a text message. It was put in my mailbox that day, the same day it was supposed to be signed.
And you had been asking for that contract, for that written contract for how long?
Since May.
Since May, and you have documentation to prove that you had been asking for that through whether it was email or text messages?
No, that's where I failed. It was always verbally to either to the board chair or to the superintendent, or the dean of or the clerk, which is her father, Dean Blunt. I'd ask him where my contract was.
Okay, so then last question. So you weren't notified until the end of July, like July 31st, and it was supposed to be signed that day. The next board meeting was August 10th. You had no indication between July 31st and August 10th that they were going to move you as principal down to be the first grade teacher. You had no
Correct.
inclusion of that?
I had no idea of that at all.
That is all. Thank you, Ms. Smoker.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Smoker.
Mm-hmm.
Can we go ahead? Catherine, is there any other stuff?
I think both parties. are
I'm
submitting-
gonna go ahead and call on Board Chair Lacy, who maybe can get us, she's got some summarized suggestions that she'd like to go through.
Sure. So first, I would like board members to pull up this document that has been referred to. It is Rule 1057-611, because I will refer to it here in just a little bit. So the conversation, and we're going to go around and kind of share our thoughts. So I'll start and that we can say ditto, or you can add others as we go around. But there's been lots of conversation about the principal contract and all of that. And while that's interesting information, it has probably caused a lot of consternation. At the end of the day, Ms. Smoker signed a contract to teach first grade for Fraser Elementary School. I believe that we have that in our exhibits. And so she agreed to be a first grade teacher via the contract. And the contract has specific information in it. Also from the testimony today, it seems to be some very difficult interpersonal relationships that are happening between Ms. Smoker and some of the Fraser Public School staff. And that probably made it difficult to go to work. And I think she said that no one wants to be somewhere where they're not wanted, if that's what her feelings were, probably very, very difficult. It also seems apparent to me that there were health challenges that made her job hard to do. Knee injuries, diabetes, COVID, terrible, all the things happening at once, probably really difficult. And all of those are all very unfortunate, and I can't imagine what the challenges were with that. But with that being said, she breached her contract without good cause as defined in this paper. And the good cause is underneath two, and I'm not going to review them. Ms. Gore reviewed them earlier, what those three things are. So there was a good cause to breach the contract. She left the district in a difficult spot. I think we had good testimony around that, and I know even in a large district, when somebody leaves the day before, it puts the district in a very hard position. So I think that is also clear from the testimony. And so I understand the district's stance in this, and that it can't be tolerated, and that they need to be able to enforce the contract that they ask people to sign. And so a lot of unfortunate events, but at the end of the day, there was a breach of contract without good cause. So then what do we do about that? That's in number 3 of the rule as well. And this is 3B, which is the first violation of a breach of contract committed on or after school starts. That's clearly what happened here. January 4th was clearly after school starts. Shall result in a sanction ranging from placement of a letter of reprimand in the licensed staff member's public record licensure file that's kept at OPI. So that's at the bottom end of the range, to the top end, to temporary suspension of the licensed staff member's license for not more than 30 days. And the Fraser is asking for the latter of that. They're asking for a suspension. They actually didn't put days on it, but the rule does for us, put the rules in for us. So therefore, my feeling is, and what I would vote on a motion is that we do incur a 30-day suspension, and would recommend that to commence on December 1st through December 30th of this year, and to be documented in Ms. Smoker's public record licensure file at OPI as a reminder of the seriousness of her actions, but also an understanding of the unfortunate circumstances that she was under.
So.
Can I ask a clarifying question?
Sure. And then we'd actually like to hear your thoughts.
The breach of contract, the district has to pursue that through legal means.
That's
Yeah,
not
I don't
our-
think, oh, yes, I meant to say that I don't think the board has to enforce the monetary compensation pieces of the individual's contract. Yeah, I think that would be through other venues.
Yes, so I was really trying to separate the contract that she violated and what's written. And when you sign a contract as a teacher, that's a legal document you're agreeing to. So I think the monetary fines still apply legally. And based on the rule, I was leaning towards a letter of reprimand.
Board Member Hedlund?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I agree. There's a lot going on here, but I think sticking to what's relevant in the decision that needs to be made, I would lean towards a letter of reprimand as well.
Board Member Heller?
Thank you, Chair. Member Heller here. Yes, lots going on. Ms. Smoker, are you still on the line?
Yes, I am. I'm listening to you all.
I just want to make sure. There's a lot going on. I think you need to know that we all are very empathetic to everything. Divorce, the knee problems of COVID. I grew up in a small town. I know what it's like once the gossip starts. So clearly, and then the bullying between people who, the adults that have problems, I know all about it. But there was a contract, you signed it. It did put the district in a bind, not even giving 2 weeks notice. So I want you to take a lesson from this. You need to learn as a professional that there's procedures to follow. I would agree with Board Member Hedlund and Board Member Keith for a letter of reprimand in her file.
Board Member Hammond?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would, because of the interest of time, I will not repeat what everyone said about the difficulties in the community situation. I will simply say, I've got a whole speech written and I concur with a letter of reprimand.
Okay, and I also thank you, Board Chair Lacey, for outlining what you did. I concur with what you outlined, that she did have a breach of contract without good cause. And I also would recommend a letter of reprimand. So
Madam Chair, Darlene's on as well.
I'm sorry, Darlene. Please.
That's
Hear from you.
That's okay. Thank you. And I think there has been a lot of unfortunate miscommunication, lack of communication, lack of professionalism here. There's no question there was a breach of contract. But if I look at item 78, really the reason they are seeking the suspension is because of non-repayment of debt. And I would, in that case, believe that we are leaning towards I am leaning towards a letter of reprimand rather than a 30-day suspension, because I do believe there are also some extenuating circumstances, although she should have contacted the district in regards to her ability to repay.
Madam Chair, I'd like to move ahead with a motion unless anybody has any further discussion.
Back to you for a motion, Madam Chair.
Thank you. I move to, I move to deny the request of the Fraser School District to suspend the educator license of Ms. Smoker. But I also move to approve a written letter of reprimand to be placed in Ms. Smoker's public records file.
For a second.
I will second that, Board Member Keller.
It's been moved by Board Member Quinlan and seconded by Board Member Heller to deny the Fraser Public School District's request for a suspension, but to approve a letter of reprimand to be placed in the licensed staff member's public record licensure file. Is there any other board member comment? Any other board member comment? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Say no, I'm sorry. Opposed, say no. The motion passes unanimously. Thank you, and we will direct Ms. Flynn to work with myself to put that letter together on behalf of the Board of Public Ed to be placed in the file. We thank you, Ms. Smoker, for your testimony today, for sharing your thoughts with us. Thank you, Ms. Four, as well, for presenting the case and having your documents very well organized for us. We appreciated that. Thank you.
Thank you all for your time. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We have exactly 20 minutes to move from here over to the University Center for our 1:30 Board of Education meeting. Item 25 has been moved to our next board meeting, which is the Youth Risk Behavior Survey update. We did receive this from Superintendent Arnston yesterday or the day before. So if you have a chance to review the flip book before that, that would be great. We do have item 24, which is regarding House Bill 89 and revisions to transformational learning. It is indicated as action on today's agenda. However, it is not. It is an informational item, and Cheryl Allen, Deputy Superintendent, is here with us. And I know Cheryl can be very succinct and can walk us through this agenda item very quickly. Good to see you again, Deputy Allen.
Chair Lacy, members of the board, bless you for your tenacity and keen questioning all morning. It gives heart. So what's in front of you will be the process of moving forward on House Bill 89. It is noticed that this will be your adoption. What's key to note is that the final adoption of this at the Secretary of State, or what gets published, will be around January 4th. Our window opens January 3rd. We've reviewed this with Chief Legal. They don't think that's an issue because the window closes on January 10th. And then again, the lottery system will take place on January 11th at Carroll College, of which McCall, Flynn, and Crystal Smith will be the two there to certify that lottery methodology that was used, that has had input now from the lottery system of Montana, and then a professor went at Carroll College. So just want to give you that background so you understand we do have a day overlap there. But again, legal has said they don't think that's an issue because the board will not actually take any action on that until your board meeting later. And the window is still open and districts can complete applications right now. So with that, our recommendation is that the board moves this forward so we can keep the process on House Bill 89 and 1054, 1010 changes.
I don't, we've already approved that timeline, isn't that correct? So this was just a clarification, as I understand it. Is that right?
That is correct.
Thank you. And Deputy Allen, I just want to thank you so much because I know that there was just a glitch in some kind of details that needed to be taken care of. And I think this is an excellent solution to overcoming that glitch. It was a minor glitch as it turned out. And I just want to thank you for pursuing whatever you needed to do to make that happen for school districts so that we can stay on that original timeline. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair Lacy, and gratitude for your staff as well, because they've been intimately involved in helping us all stay on the same page. So a big thanks to your staff as well.
Appreciate that. Thank you very much. We have future agenda items listed there from January 13th, 14th. At this time, we have it as a virtual meeting. However, we most likely will have a place in Helena to be able to come. So those people that can drive close or live there or can be there for other reasons so that we don't incur a lot of other costs, I think we can make it happen that we can also have in person for us to come and join that as well. The last item on our agenda is public comment. Is there any public comment to come before the board? We have no hands raised in the room.
I see none online.
None online? Is that what you said, McCall? No comments online. So with that being said, I will entertain a motion to adjourn our meeting for us to be able to move over to the University Center Ballroom in order to convene the Board of Education by Governor Gianforte.
I'll move one announcement. We can leave our things in the room if, in the essence of time, and they'll lock it up while we're gone. And want to do that. Just putting that out there.
I move we adjourn, and I thank you, Chair Lacy, for running a really great meeting, for all the materials we covered. Thank you.
I second it.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn. Any public comment? Board member comment? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Sign.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody. See you soon. Over.
So